on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, for an effortless finish to your day. New Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
This is News Talk.
Now you're welcome along. So coming up tonight, we will chat through the IRFU decision taken today to ban transgender women from partaking in women's contact rugby in Ireland. Probably an expected decision in many ways. It follows World Rugby Guidance, which was first published back in 2020. The English Rugby Union made a similar move to the IRFU last month, but contentious nonetheless. Also this evening, our favourite news slot, that's Team OTB. Myself, Ronan, Mullen, Mick McCarthy, Arthur O'D, chatting through the various matters of greatest concern to us for an hour, riffing. 53106. Text in, whatever you want to talk about, hit us up. And then, of course, Dan McDonald will be on the football show. Shamrock Rovers assured of European group stage football in the coming months. We will even, Ronan Mullen, see it on a television.
No, great times, Joe.
Yeah.
2022.
I think, Richie McCormack, you're very welcome. I think there's a certain romance in hearing about the match the next day. You know, it's like back in the day. You know, you read about it, you hear about it, but you don't see it.
Putting two and two together, yeah. Like I always come back to that when I was told about the Cantona incident, the Kung Fu incident at Crystal Palace.
Oh yeah.
When my dad came into the sitting room and said, "God, Cantona apparently is after." I'm just after hearing it on 5 Live. Apparently he jumped the barrier there at Selhurst Park and just went mad. And in my head, because behind one of the goals at Selhurst Park in the mid-90s, they were obviously accounting for the Taylor report and were making it an all-cedar stadium. And there was, 8-foot-high barriers, 10-foot-high barriers behind the goal to the left as you look at it on TV. And I thought he just literally lost it, vaulted over them and just ran into a construction site. I had to wait until later on, of course. I think it was on Sports Night that night that they would have showed the highlights and what exactly happened. But yeah, there is a certain romance about hearing secondhand and hearing on the radio and going very much old school 20th century about it all.
There sure is. So that is on the way. We should get into Newsround. Busy afternoon. As ever, our Newsround is brought to you courtesy of Gillette Labs. Richie, where are you starting?
Trans Equality Together has condemned the IRFU's decision to ban transgender women from playing women's contact rugby. The union has amended its gender participation policy despite the issue only affecting 2 registered players in the entire country. The IRFU claims they will continue to be inclusive as they can be. Trans Equality Together has described the ban as reactionary, saying it sends the message that the trans community is not welcome in rugby.
This will obviously be contentious. We'll chat about it in more detail at 7:30. We've done various pieces on this issue, so we'll bring you a good segment of Dr. Ross Tucker. He was on with us in March, and he was talking then about the Leah Thomas issue, the swimmer, which, that story garnered huge attention, and Ross Tucker has been involved in the recommendations to World Rugby. So he will outline his position and the scientific argument that World Rugby and by extension the IRFU is making. And then we'll also play you some of Sarah Phillips, and she's the head of the Transgender Equality Network. I think this was expected and this has been coming. World Rugby, to give you context, it was in October 2020 where World Rugby first banned transgender women players from competing at an elite level of the women's game, and they cited safety concerns. So, for instance, they argued in October of 2020, and again, there is science behind this number, but the headline number was that there is a 20 to 30% higher risk of injury when a female player is attacked by someone who has gone through male puberty, for instance. A female born, registered at birth female player tackled by someone who has gone through male puberty, the risk of injury is 20 to 30% higher. Now, what they did at that stage was they said, well, this is our position at the elite end of the game, and we're going to leave it up to sports federations to figure out your own grassroots policy. And so it's developed, obviously, since 2020. The English RFU voted in favour of restricting transgender participation in the domestic game last month, and now the IRFU have followed suit. Other unions have as well. Clearly massively contentious, and we'll tease out the issues and bring you some of Ross Tucker and Sarah Phillips this hour. So that's the big story of the day. We did obviously invite the IRFU to come on the show, and I have to say it's disappointing. They said no. we had expected you release a statement, you make a decision like this. It's worth teasing out on a show like this, but the answer was no. We'll continue to invite them on and tease things out, but we will in the interim give you a much longer portion of their statement and their thought process than Richie's obviously been able to do for time purposes in the Newsround. So we'll do that around 25 past 7:30 or so. Richie, meanwhile, Davy Fitzgerald, he's never far away from a job.
No keeping the good man down, Joe. Davy Fitzgerald reportedly on the cusp of a return to the Waterford senior hurling job. According to the Examiner this evening, talks between the county executive and the ex-Clare goalkeeper have intensified in recent days. Fitzgerald announced he was leaving the Cork Camogie backroom team in the wake of Sunday's All-Ireland final defeat to Kilkenny. In his original reign as Daisha boss, Fitzgerald led Waterford to the 2008 All-Ireland hurling final. They also reached 4 consecutive All-Ireland semi-finals during his original tenure.
See, we've had it all wrong, Ronan. There's been much discussion about the future of Davy Fitzgerald. Where will he go next? Galway could be interesting. Dublin could be interesting. We never even contemplated he could go back.
I know, but like
This opens everything up again.
it's a funny one with Davy because the cult of Davy Fitzgerald, in my opinion, has diluted his achievements as a manager, whereby because the sideshow, to use that word, that goes with him takes away from the achievements that have been borne out on his CV. And like what he did at Waterford to almost kick off this run as an intercounty manager, it's hugely impressive. Richie's kind of outlined it there, and it's not as if Waterford haven't hit the heights that was expected of this generation of players. I think that's fair to say. And there might be a little bit of going back to basics a little bit for the next couple of years, and he's possibly a good man to do that. And like what he did at Waterford latterly with Clare, famously with the All-Ireland, and then Wexford, I think another job which is underestimated in the years which have gone by. So I think it's Davy Fitzgerald's never far from the headlines, and even his year away from hurling was still centrally involved in the camogie sphere. So he's certainly back with a bang here if this comes through.
An endlessly interesting man. Did you ever see his Living with Lucy episode?
I think I did, but what were the standout moments for you on that?
For me, the standout moment by a considerable distance in a show of many standout moments.
Great show
Oh, listen, brilliant show
in general.
Yeah.
Big
Absolutely
fan.
fantastic show. Really good. Was he goes out to dinner with his immediate family kind of once a week, and say it's a Thursday. Every evening he orders is the same meal. It's some kind of chicken.
Every evening?
Well, like once a week.
Oh, gotcha.
Every evening he goes, it's the
Yeah.
same meal every time. To the extent that I think at a certain point the restaurant took it off the menu, and he insisted, I'm still getting that. And the other revelation was, I think his better half turned to Lucy at one stage and said, you know, he's never tasted pizza. Never tried it. So the pizza or pasta? It was some, very basic Italian-based food that we've all tasted. But I don't think Davey had tasted pasta or pizza.
See, he had two options when they took it off the menu. It was play the "Do you not know who I am" card, which is what he did.
Yeah.
Just find a different restaurant.
There you go. So, I don't know, Richie, are the things I've revealed from the Living with Lucy episode more interesting than the news you brought us about Davey? I dare say they are. You need to up your game here.
I don't know. Davy's insistence on a certain chicken dish kind of, I'd like to hear more about this.
Indeed.
And what the dish was.
Yeah,
I need to go back and watch the. Hopefully, it's on the Virgin Media Player.
I think it was chicken and mash, just and actually a pint of milk.
Don't say it was chicken
pint
and
of
mash and a
milk.
pint of milk.
I'm pretty sure.
Don't. How is that even on the menu? Like, what's that listed as?
Well, I got taken
Just
off.
Chicken mash, pint of milk.
Yeah.
I think Simon Tierney, our colleague in News Talk, tweeted a picture. I think it was of Richard Nixon's last meal before he resigned on national television.
Oh yeah.
And it was a suitably depressing looking meal. It was like, oh, Richie, do you remember what it was? It was like cottage cheese and pineapple and a glass of milk. And she's like, that's the meal of a man getting ready to step down.
You can't be having that much milk. Sinuses would be driven demented. Look, I'm sure I've got some of the facts wrong there. Anyone who's a Living with Lucy expert will know I'm generally in the right domain. 53106, they can.
If it's reality TV, you're usually on the right track, Joe.
I'd be disappointed if Lucy's not listening, but let's see.
Yeah. Lucy, text in, let us know, what was the food he had in the restaurant every evening, and was it pasta or pizza he'd never tasted in his life?
Joe, I think I have to ask the question the listeners want me to ask now. Would you go on Living with Lucy if she gave you the offer?
I think that's an enormous if, so we're not going to have to worry about that. No, that would not be my bag at all. Richie McCormack, on the other hand.
I want now that you said you don't want it to be your bag, I absolutely need
TV's
it
Richie
to
McCormack
be your
there
bag.
would be all over that.
Yeah. So, well, Stephen Bradley, he's obviously a very happy man, not thrilled with the travel situation.
Yeah, Stephen Bradley says travel for Irish teams in Europe needs to be streamlined. They arrived back into Shannon in the small hours of this morning after securing group stage football by beating Shkupi in the third qualifying round of the Europa League. It's Ferencváros for them next on Thursday in Budapest. Rovers were forced to travel from Shannon to fly to North Macedonia, having endured similar in a previous trip to Bulgaria. And speaking after last night's game, Bradley says something needs to be done to help out those teams in Europe.
The questions need to be asked by the right people and to the right people, because again, I understand travel is chaos for everyone at the moment, but it can't be that teams, both Bulgarian teams, are flying in and out of Dublin direct, and we're flying back through Shannon, have to go out through Shannon. That's obviously the trouble they're having. It's not right, you know. We need to, like I said, there needs to be serious questions asked of who's allowing this to happen and why it's allowed to happen, because it cost us against Ludogorets, and I've no doubt it cost us our travel, our first leg over there. And I just hope it doesn't cost St. Pat's at home, because it's not acceptable. It can't be.
Air travel is no fun for anybody just now. I think we're all in agreement on that point. So Rovers had to fly out to North Macedonia from Shannon, and then because of staffing issues, they were due back into Shannon. And then lo and behold, there was fog at Shannon and the flight was diverted to Dublin. So I dare say Stephen Bradley was both happy that happened, but also thinking, what the hell? You can take us in Dublin now. And it has been a messy time on that front. So for instance, Shkupi, as we know, in the first leg had to fly to Shannon, and they were very unhappy about this. They considered it a conspiracy of sorts. St. Patrick's Athletic had to fly from Knock. A big old drive from Inchicore down to Knock before you take your flight. And they also couldn't get home till Sunday, and the Shelbourne game was cancelled. Whereas, in fairness, as Stephen Bradley says there, CSKA, Sofia and Ludogorets both managed to get their charters in and out of Dublin. It's just a messy situation. I don't know. Do we give teams priority on this matter, should we?
It's a difficult one for sure. I think the best thing you can say is that it didn't affect the result from a Shamrock Rovers point of view, and I think because the football's calendar, by dint of how reactionary it is to results, is that these things are very last minute, and can a hastily arranged flight to far-flung destination take precedence over long held bookings? I'm not sure, but I can definitely see Stephen Bradley's point. And
it's a nuisance.
Yeah, and from Rovers' point of view, like in terms of what they did on the pitch, it was nice that the travel was their major concern in this tie, because it was I wouldn't say in keeping with the typical trend of League of Ireland clubs in Europe, where it was very assured,
routine.
It almost played the game on their terms, and there was no element of smash and grab about it. And you'd love to get to a stage in a couple of years where that is the norm, where Ireland teams are going out there with their chests out and thinking, we're actually the better team here and we're going to play as such.
And they're a very mature squad in age terms. Shamrock Rovers, very experienced, and they played accordingly. Dan McDonald will be in after 9 o'clock, so we'll chat through obviously the last couple of weeks in League of Ireland on the European front, and also the opening weekend to the Premier League season. Dan's thoughts on a couple of the games. There is obviously the possibility that Shamrock Rovers draw Manchester United in the Europa League, all going well next week and beyond in Hungary. So then it seems, Paul O'Hare had a story in the Mirror, Richie, that Shamrock Rovers have already reached out to the Aviva Stadium about potentially hosting some European games. The crowds will be big. So Shamrock Rovers versus Manchester United. Surely Manchester United fans of Irish descent can leave their jerseys at home and support Rovers that night.
That's not going to happen, as we all know. It is encouraging to see that they're obviously the feelers are out there, and that they think that there's a decent enough chance of them getting past Ferencváros. And I listened to Dan earlier on, as he pointed out, it's a very, I'm not going to say winnable, but there is cause enough for optimism for Rovers going into that tie, considering what Bohemians did against Fever in a single-legged affair over in Hungary a couple of years ago, in COVID times, in a single-leg affair. And Ferencváros, I can't say I've watched a lot of them. I was keeping an eye
Richie,
on their results against Karabakh.
Come prepared or don't come.
I know. Knowing that they could be a potential opponent, obviously, for Rovers, I kept an eye on what they were doing against Karabakh, and to see the manner in which they conceded last night wasn't great. So Rovers will have enough. In terms of like they've got the wherewithal to do it. They can be a bit overcautious at times, and that's probably been to their detriment in the league on occasion. I think it works a little bit better in Europe, but there could be an opportunity for them here to actually get group stage Europa League football. And I don't think they should really rest on the fact that they are in the Conference League. The Conference League is what it is, and they will probably have all their home ties then in Tala. But God, the teams that could have waited in the group stage of the Europa League it's well worth putting the hammer down going for this Ferencváros title because it's winnable.
Are we not at a point where Manchester United fans, who, let's be honest, hate their team at this stage, detest their own team, that they would not say to themselves,
they're talking about not going to Old Trafford now, Joe.
Yeah, for the Liverpool game, did I see?
Yeah.
As a Liverpool,
I mean, cue a ton of flights from Dublin saying, "Oh, we'll go."
Yeah,
people will swoop in.
One of my Liverpool sporting friends said, "Did Mohamed Salah not empty the stadium for them last season?"
Hey, are we not saying that Manchester United fans in 2022, as we're trying to grow Irish football, would not say, "You know what? I'm sick of this team anyway. I'm going to go there and support Shamrock Rovers"? Surely you couldn't, in good conscience, as a Manchester United fan, turn up at the Viva Stadium and cheer on United.
Do you mean as a dual Rovers United fan or just a general United fan?
I mean a Manchester United fan who doesn't support Shamrock Rovers, maybe doesn't support a League of Ireland team, but thinks to themselves, I need to get behind Irish football properly. I can't just support the national team when it suits me. I need to be behind Irish football. It's time I picked up a cause. I'm going to go on there and I'm going to support Shamrock Rovers, as opposed to singing that Country Road Man United song and saying, go on Fred.
Yeah. I did attend the Manchester United event against the League of Ireland 11, and it was very much a ceremonial 50,000 Man United fans, and all the League of Ireland people in their League of Ireland jerseys. I think Damien Richardson was the manager, and United won 7-1. It's a bit of a non-event. But then one of my friends had the Dundalk Arsenal quagmire, huge fan of both, but his Arsenal fandom would have predated his Dundalk fandom. His love of Dundalk would have burgeoned more in the last 10 years, but he would have been an Arsenal fan his whole life. So a real difficult one for him. I think he got to the game in the Aviva Stadium, which had limited capacity at the time, but didn't get to go to the Emirates. But it's a hugely novel thing. Like I know it would have been a regular occurrence where Spurs played Dundalk back in the day and Dundalk Celtic and the likes, but like a huge chasm in the middle there where these fixtures weren't regular. But with the advent of the Europa Conference League, this will feasibly happen on the regular now, where one of those big English teams will be drawn against League of Ireland teams.
Remember the great old days? There was a great debate on RTE on Soccer Republic, and Dermot Keely was on.
Dermot Keely.
TV Gold.
Quote,
50,000 idiots.
42,000 morons going to watch Liverpool's reserve team.
God, you should get Dermot Keely on.
Yeah. Look,
always good value.
Let's see if they draw Manchester United first. But if they do, I think it's time.
I think you and I know, Joe, that's not going to happen. That the
United fans go on and cheer on Man United to beat Rovers.
Oh, the 100% they will.
No, I actually think we're at a point now where even United fans realise Irish football is going somewhere. I think why do they care about the Europa League against Shamrock Rovers?
That's true.
They got bigger fish to fry, like Brighton away. Richie, where are we going next?
3 players taking part in the Saudi-backed Live Golf Series have lost a court bid against the PGA Tour to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Taylor Gooch, Hudson Swafford and Matt Jones wanted a temporary restraining order, but a federal court judge in San Francisco ruled against them last night, saying the trio were well aware of the consequences of their actions. The players are also part of a larger group who filed an antitrust suit against the PGA Tour for being indefinitely suspended for joining Live Golf. Speaking ahead of this week's St Jude Invitational, Rory McIlroy said the right decision was reached in court.
I mean, from my vantage point, common sense prevailed, and I thought it was the right decision. And now that has happened, I think it just lets us focus on the important stuff, which is the golf, and we can all move forward and not sort of have that sideshow going on for the next few weeks, which is nice.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that on Golf Weekly tomorrow, where our special guest will be Mr. Paul McGinley, a man obviously involved with the European Tour Board and watching all this situation very closely. So Golf Weekly, you'll get us on Patreon. Just search for us there and come and join us. So Paul McGinley with us tomorrow. So we have Liam, who's a Meath man living in Louth. Chicken Maryland, he said. Yeah. I didn't know what this was about for a second. Mick reminded me it's Davy Fitzgerald's chicken choice. If Davy Fitz is on the show next time, we have to ask him about this now. It's become a thing.
You can get that in like Super Value.
Well, you can also get it in Davy Fitz's regular
speciality.
Regular restaurant is where you get it as well. Chicken Maryland. Not
Chicken
sure.
Maryland, mash and a pint of milk.
Yeah. You know, the chap. I'm not sure what Shamrock Rovers' problem is. If Sligo or Cork City had to fly to Dublin for a tie, no one would bat an eyelid, says Conor Limerick. I mean, look, there is a bit of that. It's not a 12-hour drive down to Shannon. It's not, cross-country either. Well, I suppose it is cross-country, but it's a very small country.
I think it is going to be more of a consideration for people. Would you prefer to drive an extra 90 minutes, 2 hours to go to an airport, depart from there, or queue those 2 hours?
Someone was just saying this to me the other day.
Perfectly normal reasoning.
Yeah, they're like, let's go to Shannon to fly, go on our holidays.
And scoot through the security queue in no time.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'd prefer to be on the move. Like,
I've missed the latest airport dispatches. Is it gone? Is it very bad again?
well, I only flew Friday to London and it was fine, seamless. But
When it's bad, it's bad.
yeah, like it seems to, I don't know, like there's drastic days and then not so drastic days, and yet preparation levels don't seem to tally with demand. There doesn't seem to be any sense from the airport's point of view of what's coming on a given day. Like, they can be overwhelmed on other days and overstaffed on other days, was my sense working on the lunchtime show, where people were getting in touch saying it's chaos, and then the next day it's like, this is fine, I've never had it so good.
Look at you bringing your lunchtime live
Listen,
expertise to the equation. I thought you were getting outside your lane for a second, but no.
Multifaceted strings to the bow now, Joe.
Yeah. So Cam Smith, by the way, he of the Open champion fame, is refusing to be drawn on the speculation he's going to live golf. Basically, he's going to live golf, I think, Richie, is the short version.
Yeah. Pleading the fifth, I think a former
Right.
president puts it today. Open champion Cameron Smith refusing to comment on reports that he has accepted a $100 million deal to join Live Golf. Smith is competing at the PGA Tour's FedEx Cup playoffs starting in Memphis this week, but it appears that will be his final salvo for the PGA Tour.
I think there are a bunch, and Cam Smith would be top of the list, who will be going to Live but want to compete for the FedEx finale, because there's a whole chunk of change up for grabs for the winner there, and naturally he's right in the mix to win the FedEx. But as soon as that's done, he'll go. Maybe he stays on for the President's Cup. I don't know if that's a big thing for an Australian golfer, but then he's going. I mean, he's a big loss to the PGA Tour, kind of full of personality and a real star this year, and a brilliant player as well, obviously, as we saw at St Andrews. So news from Tipperary.
Yeah, Tipperary GAA announcing today that a new club schedule has been sorted after postponing last weekend's fixtures as a mark of respect for the late Dylan Quirke. Clonalty Rossmore's senior hurling championship match against Kilrun McDonagh's was called off after Quirke collapsed shortly before half-time. The game will now be played on Sunday, August 21st, while the postponed hurling championship round 2 games have been refixed for the weekend of August 19th to the 21st. The hurling county finals have also been pushed back from the 9th to the 23rd of October. Football championship matches, Tip GAA saying this evening as well, will also be preceded by a minute's silence.
The World Cup, Richie?
Yeah, FIFA looks set to bring the World Cup finals forward by a day to allow Qatar to take part in the opening match. The Netherlands playing Senegal was supposed to be the opener of the tournament on November 21st, with the hosts playing Ecuador later that day. Qatar want their first Group A fixture brought forward to allow them play the opening match, and the final decision will be made by the Bureau of the FIFA Council.
Like everything with this World Cup, this is just so odd. I thought the hosts always play the opening fixture. So why would that not have been the situation in the first place?
Not always.
France, Senegal 02.
France, Senegal 02. Bolivia, Germany in 94 was another one as well. It's not, I don't think, Brazil and Scotland was France 98 as well. So it's only really a recent thing that actually has been the host that definitely played the opening match.
It's funny that I was sort of like, what is this? They always play the opening, and then it said France, Senegal out of my mouth in the same sentence. Just popped into my head there.
What a game that was.
Yeah, I remember rushing home from summer tests, and that was on. It was the first day, I suppose it was the first afternoon of holidays. What a way to kick it off.
It's funny, it's the World Cup I remember it's the first World Cup I remember in any detail.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think it's amazing. But anyone with more of a scope of past World Cups tells me it was a really bad tournament.
No, it wasn't.
Really dull.
It was a great World Cup.
Just because Ireland were in it, Joe.
Wasn't great.
Sorry, it was a great World Cup, 02.
No, afraid not.
Wasn't great.
No.
Wasn't great.
No. Absolutely not.
06 is head and shoulders above 02.
Euro 2008, my favourite tournament.
Sorry, 02 was a great World Cup.
I think 06 was better.
06 game for game is a better tournament. 02 was like it was grand, and it was on at a weird time as well. You can't enjoy a World Cup that's on in the morning.
In my mind, 02 is the greatest World Cup ever played.
No, it's the best in my mind.
But coming back, from an objective point of view, trusting the opinions of others, Jonathan Wilson and others would say it's among the worst World Cups ever played.
It all depends on where you are in your life.
Totally, that's what I'm saying.
a World Cup final with Carsten Ramelow and Oliver Neuville as part of its, cast is not a great World Cup finals. Sorry.
See, I was summer holidays, early part of the day, beautiful. Like, it was heavenly. It was just wonderful. Whereas I don't know what I was doing in 06.
Yeah.
I can't remember it really. Just goes that way.
Yeah, I can remember both of them quite well. And then 2010 World Cup would have been in the throes of exam time. So I remember, ironically, the first game of that tournament where South Africa scored the opening goal. It's incredible scenes. And then I missed the chunk in the middle and then came back in for what was quite a dull, I think, final raft of fixtures as Spain just kind of ground their way to a uneventful World Cup.
We can all agree 2010 was terrible.
Yeah. And also the 2010 World Cup final, I believe, was on the same day as Joe Sheridan and the Loud Mead debacle. So I wasn't no fit state, Joe, to be watching that.
Very few people outside of Louth and Meath would know that fact. But
there you go.
There you go. Is right.
I don't know if it was. I don't know. Was it?
Yeah.
Something in my head says that was the Meath Louth game was a Saturday, but I could be wrong.
No. I'm afraid not, Richie. It's my tears have yet to dry from the Cusack stand on that day.
We're rambling here.
It's a perfectly fine goal.
Not for people in Louth, Joe. People in Darver are really consuming this conversation.
You all overreacted to that.
Stop.
Really did.
That was our All-Ireland final.
Cry me a river. Come on.
Yeah, well, come on. I've got no comeback.
Someone says, did you know Davy Fitzgerald's? I don't know. Can I just read out things that people are texting in about Davy Fitzgerald? Okay, this is on Living with Lucy as well. Let's verified it. His favourite film is
Shawshank Redemption.
Is it Gladiator?
Excellent. Two excellent guesses. Oh, man. I would have guessed the same. Every GAA player, favourite food steak, favourite film Shawshank. Probably Gladiator is in there in the mix as well.
Favourite holiday destination, Maldives?
I don't know about that. But definitely Shawshank and steak. Seabiscuit.
Is he a tattoo kind of guy?
Seabiscuit is his favourite film.
Good choice.
Yeah. Lads, there is a motorway from Dublin to Shannon, says Donald. And whatever happens, the opening game won't be as bad as Russia, Saudi Arabia in 2018, which hasn't lived long in the memory, I don't think.
Oh my God.
We are out of time, which is maybe for the best. Richie McCormack, thanks very much.
Thanks for the Chicken Maryland idea, Joe.
Yeah. Ronan Mullen, you'll be back between 8 and 9 with Arthur and Mick. Thank you.
Cheers.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's Summer Cash Machine.
Now for another day, someone has missed Barry's call at 3 o'clock, which means we've another rollover for tonight's cash machine. If you've entered since 5 o'clock Friday, you're still in the draw, but you must know the new number, which is €34,382.